In a matter of minutes, the victim was stabbed multiple times and was left critically injured on the street. These young men are now paying the price for the choices they have made. It's a direct quote from Metropolitan Police Detective Constable Luke Martinez in relation to this case we're about to go over. I wanted to point that out because the latter in that statement, in a sense, is the message to take away from, for the most part, every single case we've been over, every action having a consequence. I know I have a teen audience who watch my videos, some who might even be involved with gangs themselves, so when we are talking about gang-related crime, this message is directed for you. With 2021 breaking the record of most teenagers murdered within 1 year in the capital, and again a large chunk of my audience being teens from London, I hope that these videos can teach you that statement that every action does carry a serious consequence in relation to crime anyway. You might think that you're untouchable now being young, but believe me, if you do get caught up in a murder case, for example, and you are the perpetrator, you're gonna find out very quickly that a lot of people around you will begin to disappear, even your co-defendants. Then as time goes on and you become an adult, you'll start to reflect on the decisions that you've made, taking a look back on your life, trying to figure out how you could have done things differently. Hopefully you'll never get to that stage though, and you can prevent yourself from getting there, because remember, every action does have a consequence. At around 6:30 PM on the 6th of April 2020, emergency services are called to the Woodbury Down area near Finsbury Park in London, after they receive a call from a witness that a 16-year-old boy has been stabbed after getting into an altercation. A woman would later come out to say that she'd been walking along the canal path besides the reservoir when she passed a group of males and sensed something wasn't right. She seen that one of them had been stabbed, so she dialed 999. Soon after, 3 off-duty doctors had been passing when they also seen the commotion and saw that same 16-year-old boy suffering from life-threatening injuries. He had lost a large amount of blood and had been laying on the ground where his intestines had spilled out through a large gaping wound in his abdomen. Although that had been the worst of his injuries, he had also sustained knife wounds to the chest, which punctured his lung, his right forearm and his lower back. The boy was then rushed to hospital, and luckily he would go on to recover from his injuries. For the perpetrators, however, they in fact had fled the scene, so an investigation into the incident was opened. So the hunt was on for the knife man or knife men. Initial statements to police described 3 knife men wearing dark-coloured tracksuits, and they found a broken knife at the scene, so after following lines of inquiry, they quickly began executing search warrants at addresses in Hackney. Upon searching one address, they found the other half of the broken knife. The knife, now in full, was later forensically examined and was found to be the same knife which was used in the attack. During the search, officers also found clothes belonging to the suspects, which they wore during the incident. So as the investigation intensified, detectives soon discovered that the 3 suspects, twin brothers Bradley and Stephen Allison, and their friend Tyrese Taylor, all 19, had been a part of the Stokey 16 gang, whilst the victim had been a member of the rival Manor House gang. The motive behind the stabbing had actually came as the result of an assault on Tyrese Taylor earlier on that very same day. He was said to have been beaten up by Manor House gang members, and the whole situation was videoed on Snapchat. The video was then posted and circulated to humiliate him. But believe it or not, when officers eventually caught up with the trio, police found song lyrics that referenced a broken weapon and mentioned the twins by name. So in a sense, police connected the lyrics to the stabbing that had happened. So with all the evidence mounting against the trio, they were charged in relation to the investigation. All 3 would go on to plead guilty to wounding with intent. The twins were also charged with extra drug charges, which they pled guilty to, and Tyrese was charged with wounding with intent again because he had threw boiling water at a police officer. The brothers were handed a 5-year jail sentence, whilst Tyrese was handed a 4-year sentence. So again, a message to my teen audience, especially those watching in London. Remember, every action really does carry a consequence. Luckily, in this incident, the 16-year-old boy went on to survive, but his injuries were horrific. He had his intestines pulled from his stomach, and I ask you, is this something you really want yourself to be caught up in? Honestly, it isn't worth it, and even if one person walks away from this video with a different mindset and starts to try and change something, then that's a start, because something needs to be done about these young people killing one another in the capital and getting caught up in situations like the one that we've been over today. For now though, give the video a like for more crime related content like this, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't. It's been me, Huncho, and I'll see you in the next one.